r/AskReddit. Dear Reddit, what is your weirdest dream/nightmare you've ever had? The first night we got my pet cat, when I was a little girl, I dreamt for 2 nights that she would stop at nothing to kill me. She even killed my mother in one of my dreams. There were no gory details, thank goodness, but I vividly remember the cat sitting on my mother's corpse saying, "Your mother is no help to you now." I really loved the cat at the time, so I'm not sure where this came from. I'm slightly disappointed the cat didn't say, "Your mother is no help to you, meow." I had the same dream when I was 3 or 4, but with my dog. The dog had a cardboard box around its head and my parents were saying how cute it was, and then it turned into a lizard and jumped on top of the bed and attacked. I had this recurring dream. I'm in my town center and I see a huge mushroom cloud exploding in the distance. It's fast approaching, and I jump into the fountain at the last second, since I'm extremely slow. As I go in, I can see the flames and destruction from underwater and I emerge to see everything destroyed. I've been having this dream since I was 5 or 6 years old, and it gets me every time. I'm 24. I was once looking out of the window, saw a mushroom cloud, then saw the light intensifying, washing everything to white, the temperature rising, and then everything went black, and I was dead. A second or 2 later, I woke up springing on my bed, my heart racing, and my mind in utter shock. This was one of the 2 occasions I remember dying in a dream. The second time it was war as well, and I was killed by a soldier with a machine gun. I once dreamed I was being chased by demons. I jumped into a fountain and immediately wished I hadn't, because it was really deep, and I couldn't get back out. The demons didn't get me though, if I remember correctly, so there's that. I once had a dream my small town was all gathered at the lake for a wedding. I dropped the rings or something else important into the water on accident, and they went deep. I dove down to get them, and while I was down there, giant titanic creatures appeared out of nowhere, one of which released a giant laser and vaporized everyone above water. I was frozen in fear and stayed underwater until I almost drowned. A giant leg the size of a building crashed down near me. The thing blotted out the sun as it went over me. It was a purplish pink. Finally, when my lungs were bursting, I started swimming and somehow found an underwater sewer type vent. I went through it and ended up in a secret government facility where I guess they were researching other dimensions or whatever and accidentally released the Titans. Well, I found some gruff dudes moving boxes and I insisted I help. I've got to help. Let me help. I was basically in shock. Finally, they let me do odd jobs until this lady came, the military badass kind. She kind of looked like Fiora from League of Legends, but in a military uniform. She was a commander or something, and asked me who I was and what I was doing there. I looked at her and said, everyone I've ever loved or known was just killed right in front of me, and burst into intense sobs that I couldn't control. I fell to the floor and all the military people awkwardly kind of moved on, since they had things to do with an apocalypse happening and stuff. Then I woke up. I have a lot of weird dreams, but the ones that really stick with me are the intensely frightening or emotional ones. And that one was both. Overslept once because I had a dream that I was in a church and Soldier Boy was being baptized. And you didn't want to wake up before the dream was over? To be honest, neither would I. That sounds like an amazing dream. Do you have any more details, or is that all you can remember? I was in the far right of the room, and the priest was at the front with Soldier Boy, and he had that little bowl of holy water next to him and said, "DeAndre Cortezway, I baptize you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit." Funny thing is, he never put water on Soldier Boy's head. My first memory was a nightmare I had when I was around 5. I remember it vividly, and I have no idea why it scared me so much. I look back and laugh at it because it is so weird. Anyways, my friends and I were all playing in my childhood home. Then there was a knock at the door. My friend went to open it and there was Barney at the door. My friend invited him in, but every time he looked at me, he had evil red eyes. No one else noticed this. Eventually, Barney tried to get everyone outside, I followed hesitantly, and as soon as I stepped outside, I saw that Triceratops character charging everyone with her horns, and she had glowing red eyes. That was when I realized they were out for blood. I tried to get everyone to run, but they wouldn't listen. I watched Barney and the Triceratops take down my younger brother, and that's when I woke up. Dude, a purple T-Rex and a yellow Triceratops with red eyes were leading you outside to murder you. How the hell is that not scary? Once, I dreamed I was chopping meat off of meat hooks with butter knives and feeding it to robotic heads. There were no bodies, just the heads chomping down on the meat I threw to them. And while doing that, I was also talking to an aristocratic cockroach called Mr. Johnson, who I knew was an aristocrat because he was wearing a tuxedo, a monocle, and was fat. He had a deep raspy kind of voice, and I don't recall our conversation. However, at one point, he said he had to go, and I asked, "But Mr. Johnson, won't you stay for dinner?" To which he replied, "No, and you won't either." And then I woke up 1 or 2 minutes before my alarm rang. Mr. Johnson became a joke among my group of friends and a supervillain alongside Malpig, the evil swine. I actually have some of mine written down, so I'll just copy and paste my favorites notes onto here. Jack Black is in a movie about a mid to low tier ranking gangster addicted to pain meds pulling off insane heists and murders so that lower tier gangsters stop trying to kill him and his friends for his spot. This happens after he finds his dead friend with a 7 of diamonds playing card with the letter J burned into it. The gang is ranked by playing cards. Ace is a new guys, King is big boss, Jack is currently 7 and the card was a sign that they were coming for him. At one point he gets high in the back of a garbage truck and thinks he's in Lego Star Wars. The police try out his weird mannerisms, one of Jack's mannerisms, to try to connect him to the crimes. Jack catches the police chief in high heels when he tries breaking into the station. He finds out, while spying on the chief, that his friends were going to double cross him. The name of the movie will be Jack Black's Blackjack. Kanye West sought my help moving his furniture out of an apartment. Also, all the furniture was assembled out of cereal boxes, Cheerios, Fruit Loops, Raisin Bran, Chex, etc. I actually had this dream 3 nights in a row. 8 or 9 giant anacondas had a battle royale in my backyard during a monsoon. Water up to my ankles, while I just stood and watched. Every time one anaconda killed another, it would consume the loser and grow in size. Eventually one titanic anaconda was left, which slithered into the woods behind my house. Kurt Russell was a Pokemon trainer, but he was like, really into it, yelling attacks out, throwing his fists in the air. Whenever he'd get a KO, he would lose his dang mind, and even me and other trainers would look at each other and talk about how Kurt Russell needs to take it down a notch. I've had a dream where I was walking in the corridor of my apartment at night. I spotted an old woman with a cloth tied around her head to protect herself from the chilling cold. She was at the end of the corridor. I turned and looked at her, and she looked up at me and dropped her walking stick. Her eyes were black and her mouth twisted into a snarl. I was frozen to the spot. She started freaking sprinting towards me, and I didn't hesitate to nope the frick out of there. I was extremely slow at running in the dream and the corridor never seemed to end. I turned around while running, and the old woman was inches from my face, but was now smiling. She told me to stop and look at her. She was just about to say something when I woke up. It was 8:47 in the morning, and my parents were in my room, packing. My mum was ironing out my clothes. We were moving to India from Singapore that day. It was 2012, and I was 11 when we went to our rented room for the time being in India. I kid you not. The room number was 847. I remember one where I infiltrated a villain meeting, and there were many villains there. It was in the style of My Hero Academia, so subtitles appeared each time a character was introduced, summarizing their power. When it was time, an old woman holding a toilet under her arm entered in the room, followed by 2 henchmen. Her subtitle: Toilet Queen. She has a toilet. For some reason the other villains were terrified of her. Imagine all the other villains having long descriptions of their power, and then arrives a villain who's an old lady holding a toilet. Her power is that she has a toilet, and everyone freaks out. Also, there was that time I saw in a magazine a new season of Dragon Ball Super announcing the new villain. A female Saiyajin named Killer. Her notes said she was a Saiyajin and a Marxist. I once had a dream where I was walking through an incredibly vivid but unfamiliar city. During the dream, I was quite intent on examining my surroundings and accidentally walked onto the street where I ended up getting hit by a car and I woke up. Fast forward to a few days later and we were on a road trip and we stopped for lunch at a little town near Canberra. After getting out of the car, I started looking around and I got some deja vu vibes. It looked and felt eerily similar to my dream. For the next few minutes, I was running through what I could remember of the dream and comparing it to the town. Unbeknownst to me, I had started wandering onto the road during my contemplations. At that point, I reached the part of my dream where I got hit and I suddenly just decided to stop walking. A car sped past maybe a step away from me. Had me rattled, but I was alright. This is the earliest nightmare I can remember. So for some reason, my mom was trapped in one of those many pinball maze things. Don't know the exact name, and we brought her to the doctors for whatever reason. And after a while, the doctors concluded the only way to free her was to skin me alive. And the next thing I knew, I saw the doctor slowly coming towards me with a scalpel as I screamed and everything faded to black. The next thing I knew, the doctor, my dad, and my mom, who was now free, were all standing there happy. They all looked at me as the next image I saw was me completely skinned. And then I woke up. It's been 10 years and I still remember that messed up dream. Being chased through an abandoned hospital Scooby-Doo style by the 1940s Wolfman while everything was black and white. I'm imagining the hallway shot where they kept showing up in different doorways. Back when I used to work at McDonald's, I had a nightmare I was chased by a horde of quarter-pounder boxes. They were snapping their lids like vicious dogs. I was back in kindergarten, but somehow in a giant's world. Maybe like Jack and the Beanstalk, but they kind of reminded me of the Wild Things. Don't remember what led to the confrontation, but before I knew it, I was being chased. I ran as fast as I could, but the race turned into like an actual race you would run in kindergarten. Like run around the oak tree, then over past the swing set, then around these cones, and past the finish line. Somewhere after the oak tree and the finish line, a giant found me and caught me. He grabbed me in his fist and looked at me like he was about to eat me. I had no choice but to bite the meat of his hand as hard as I could. Well, to my surprise I broke the skin and got a mouthful of peanut butter and jelly. He screamed and dropped me. I woke up when I hit the ground. Took me a few days to regain the desire to eat my once favorite sandwich. I played Slend late at night with my friend. I was 13 at the time. I was getting tired, so I said bye bye and went to sleep. Here's how it starts. My friend 1, another friend 2, and I are making a Slenderman statue out of snow. I don't know why lol. We go inside to get a few cups of drinks and go outside again. The statue is gone. Friend 2 disappears. Then something with no face comes into my field of vision. My sight blurs. Me. Frick. We made it live. Friend 1. Run. We run and try not to look at it. Our destination being friend 1's house. We make it to my friend's house and open our eyes. Me. Is it gone? Friend 1 is silent. I don't think about the silence and open the door. Slender is at the door and says, "Hello boys." As my sight blurs and I die. In Roblox. What the hell? I respawn and find out I'm playing a game called Stop It Slender 2. I say, is this a dream? Then I wake up. Oof. This reminds me of the dream where I went down to my basement to get milk out of the fridge. When I went downstairs, I saw my grandma hanging out with Slenderman. And Slenderman gave me the ability to turn invisible. I have two types of recurring dreams that are weird. The first is that I'm back either in high school or college, and there is a class or two that I have just completely ignored all year, and then I'm freaking out about how I'm going to pass. The weirdest thing is that halfway through the dream, I remember I graduated college years ago, but it somehow makes sense that I'm back in school for some reason. The second is that I find a hidden door in the house I grew up in, and it leads to a mysterious hidden room or sometimes an entire floor. I really enjoy these because it's really cool exploring these places and trying to figure out why they were blocked off and how long it has been since someone has been there. I keep having a dream where I find out there is something wrong with my transcript and I need to take some class in order to pass. Sometimes it's elementary school or sometimes it's high school, so I have to go back to school and take this class with either a bunch of children or teenagers. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below. Please subscribe and click the notification bell for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.